Listen, yeah, check it. Prayers and patience got me through my worst times. Still love this bitch like every time my first time. Pay no mind the haters, I could write this verse blind. Stevie with the glasses, by the way I'm a earth sign. Think 7 digits plus, a legend is a must. One we never had, bitches never gave a fuck. But it's cool, I'm really glad that I never gave it up. Motivation mixed with preparation, never think this luck. I'm too stubborn not to have it my way. You from where I'm from, you ain't have it, you say. Other means something too savage to say. I'm from Canada, cops putting tracks on your page. So focus on your figures, don't focus on your views. They don't give you flies till they focus from the pews. Why I gotta die for you to notice I'm the truth? Why you playing sly like I don't go up in that booth, huh? Fuck all that koi shit, your boy on his wave like a pool full of koi fish. Life is too short for the bull, so enjoy it. You ain't got a fair hand, cool, you still got some choices. So in the meanwhile, I be taking my chances. Needed connection, should've taken a transfer in the city till you rich. Niggas flaky as dandruff. And even when you make a pair, hate the cancer. Try cut it from the root, it might still come back. I find it funny when they say they want the real ones back. When we right here, I swear we need a real one tax, a real one track. Payment when a real one rap. Say the streaming ain't fair and they feel son's rap. So fuck it if that's the case, let me feel some stacks. Till every drop feel like income tax. And the words I release increase my income bracket. Whoa, I say son cause I shine like one. The melanin in my skin cause my time has come. Is Jovi good? Just imagine the prime of pun. Illmatic ready to die, Tupac in 91. Content king, rap is now dime a dozen. The crown in the south, but now you gotta fly to London. You can hear it in the timing and the fly percussion. And the thing about a diamond, it's gon' shine for nothing. Diamond in the rough, my stocks are jumping. Rose in the concrete, I survived destruction. No better to compete at your own discretion. Why try? You can't block what's coming. First what they taste buds, hit a block then flood it. Connect with a producer who won't block your budget. Mix it to perfection, think lots of subjects. Hit a couple stages, if it's hot, they'll love it. Rinse and repeat, till your name dropping discussions. Bringing the heat, like you just shout at the function. Chill, that just means what you got is bustin'. Now supply demand, open shop and run it. Ship it to the fans, keep your stock in hundreds. This the internet, don't worry about no customs. Get in the right hand and your stock is buzzing. It all go planned and your stock go public. Had to cut some niggas off, had to block those frontin'. Now I'm getting FaceTime, I got a lot more cousins. Now I'm getting FaceTime, I do a lot more fucking. Heard through the grapevine, I got a lot more coming.
Yo, this is Josh, also known as Yashu. Another episode of the TLOY Talks podcast. You can get this on all platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more, even Patreon. So to definitely check out Patreon. So what we've just seen right here is an exclusive like freestyle from Jovi and all that too. He's back on the pod for another conversation too.
Yes,
and like
sir.
We're definitely gonna get this started. So for people that haven't like tapped into, definitely check it out at first too, and then I'm just gonna get it like started right here.
Let's
so
do it.
Jovi,
Let's do it, man.
You're back, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Welcome. I really appreciate it, man. Being on your platform has really been something great. So I really appreciate coming back.
Yeah, man. Nah, like, because I've seen like the growth so far too. Because now you're like on Free Balaclavas. You were on Steady Mobbin' for like a bit and all that too. You've been working with Ghostboy RJ, all these like other artists too, and like even like you have like new music too, like Extended Stay and like VIP. So even to speak more about that, like what were like the creative process?
For sure, man. The creative process right now is that every so often with me and Blind Vibrations, because we know that we're doing our distribution a little unorthodox. Instead of going directly to like Spotify or Apple Music, what we're trying to do is really retain our family. So we're trying to build the community. So we're putting a lot of this stuff on Bandcamp. So VIP initially was a song that I had put on after dropping Airbnb. I wanted to thank everyone for just continuously listening to the music. And that's what I want to do. It gives me an opportunity to incentivize like things. I can give music for free. We have so much music. So you can just download it because, DJs still download music. So like I just thought to myself, let me do that. And then, of course, Extended Stay is just like a companion to Airbnb. You can actually play them all together. Really, I just wanted to make an extended kind of package, something that hit them off that's slightly different, but it still all plays together. And really, my mission this year has been about being consistent in every aspect. So I'm looking forward to like doing some shows in the fall. Just keep everything in motion, and yeah, just check out Extended Stay if you haven't. By the way, my name is Don Von Jovi. If you haven't heard from me or heard about me, you can look me up on Instagram or just look me up on Google. You'll find me.
Yeah, that's facts. Because I know like 2025, it's been your year too. Like not only from this session too, from the past sessions, from all this like other stuff going on too. Because I feel like you're leading that trail in like consistency too, and like leading on the way for like a lot of things too. And
Yeah.
even like since like the last time, which is like I think back in like April and all that too. Like what changed for you in terms of like even like the journey and such with music?
Honestly, the journey was just being more consistent because I would tell you just prior to that or in 2024, I wasn't really a content guy. I wasn't really into Instagram. I had it, but I would have like the start stops, and just I kind of gave myself this really like stern talking. And I was like, yo, if I'm gonna do this and I want to be consistent and build the audience, I have to be consistent with my feed. I have to be consistent with my music, and I gotta put myself out there, man. It scares the shit out of me sometimes,
Yeah.
honestly. Like, because you
Yeah.
never know what type of question they're gonna ask you. But at the same time, I appreciate the challenge. I remember I was having a conversation with my cousin, and he was like, "You should get like anytime you get these interviews, these questions are good and challenging. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're gonna really show who you are. So like, don't be afraid of any of the questions that are thrown your way. Because you know sometimes there are artists who like to filter how the media
Yeah.
like talks with them." And they'll be like, oh, you can't ask this or you can't ask that.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, no, I want you to ask me the questions so it challenges me to try to answer it in a way that would be
Yeah.
best suited towards me.
Yeah. And I think for me, like what I've noticed too, like even like when like Randy said questions down and like sending it over or like
Yeah.
just like even like relaying it to like I think like one thing that does come to mind too that some people might have is like the vulnerability in stating like where they're from for the most part too. Because I feel like I've had like situations with some people like where it's like something as like tame as like, yo, where'd you grow up? Like what was like that like for you
Yeah.
and all that too. And like I think with some people too, like even like if they're from like an area like very like known and all that too, like they don't have sometimes they are like kind of fearful too because I think
Yeah,
of the
I
repercussions and
understand.
all that too. And then others, it's like they don't want to be just like known as like someone from this end and all that too. They want to be someone that makes like music like all around or because it's like more of a hometown like pride thing because they feel like they might have not received like love from their hometown like in that sense too, as opposed to getting it from other areas too. So like that's why with some people too they might resent their hometown thing. So that's like something that I might have like noticed too and all that too. But I feel like if you have like pride in where you're from, you know, just hold that in with a big dub and all that too, and just like showing it in the best way possible too. Like I know there's like the upsides and downsides to like being
For
from a certain end and all
sure.
that too, but like your end is your end too. You gotta like rep it just like how you know you're repping your shirt or you're
I think
repping.
that's super necessary because I'm from Ontario. We live in Toronto, but Ontario is huge. So I always want to let people know that not everybody knows about Scarborough. Not everybody knows about Jane and Finch. You shouldn't feel ashamed to like discuss where you're coming from. A lot of your origin story in your music is created from where you are in your
Yeah.
environment, right? So when you say that to me, it's crazy because you're right. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't get love here. And what I kind of realized, even in my own personal journey, is like, don't worry about that. The people who are listening are enough,
Yeah.
and you will grow with them as long as you allow yourself to grow. So just put yourself out there, continuously put yourself out there. That's why I've been doing all these interviews. I think that the music is the mission.
Yeah.
So what I've noticed in the city is that people will have great music, but when it comes to the marketing or even the follow through or the consistency, they don't go the full run. And what I wanted to do, even like how I have Airbnb and I did that in like February, I'm still promoting that. Like I'm still gonna promote it for the full year until the February, until people pick up on it. I'm gonna keep promoting it. I'm gonna bring it back sometimes.
Yeah.
We cannot forget this music. I think that's the problem. A lot of the times with the artists, they're dropping, but it's like, yo, you forgot about my next song. No, still promote
Yeah.
that song.
Yeah. And I think it's like more so on like how you're marketing like the thing too, because like I think like it even comes to certain cities too. Like I know there are like cities like New York and Atlanta that are good within the idea of like marketing too. Because if you look at like more of like the New York music scene too, like aside from like On the Radar and like all these other like music like platforms that
Yeah.
they have like subsidiary platforms where they get to show more of a creative side too, like the deli like video stuff too, and like the dance like videos too, and like it brings people from New York and from these like other areas. Like it started
They
off,
use their city as the backdrop 100% because it's like part of the story, right?
yeah. Because I think like that's like with like New York Pride too, with the bodegas, with Times Square, with the dancing too, and like it even has like everyone from other areas too in New Jersey and like Connecticut and like Pennsylvania that come by, show that pride, show where they're from and all that, and like it kind of works out too. I feel like here it is like starting to get there too with some of the other stuff too, but I feel like it has to come with other like I think demands and like ideas too. Like I know like Busy Bees like doing his like thing too.
Yeah, I was on Busy Bee.
Yeah, and I know there's like I think another platform.
What
like,
I'm trying to do right now, honestly, with you saying that is I'm going to put this out. I want to connect with the food bloggers because I see like they have a great audience and I'm a musician, but I also eat food and I'm from Toronto and I know great restaurants.
Yeah.
So I realized like sharing the community is a very important part of like even the social world. I'm a musician, you're a food blogger. How can we relate? It's like trying to find those stories and telling a story. I feel like sometimes people just be like, oh man, I just do music, but there's no story, there's no narrative, there's no understanding. And that's why even with myself, I had to delve into that. I had to kind of do my research and start to tell a story. It started from Airbnb, then extended stay. And consistently, I want to tell these stories so that you're interested. You're like, yo, what is this? Like, why are you going to all the trouble to do these little posts? And I'm like, well, I want it to resonate. I know that it may not make sense right now, but I know maybe a year later when you've seen all the work I've done, you're going to be like, oh man, I remember when it started from this. I remember when it started from that. I remember when I seen you on this podcast. I remember when I seen you here.
Yeah.
So it's just starting. And also, what is the one thing we always think in our city is like, yo, it's a screwface capital, capital. But like guys like yourself and a lot of these other media guys, they're trying to change that by giving you the voice and giving you an opportunity. I would say that a lot of people don't have faith in themselves. A lot of people are not putting themselves out there. It's not the fact that there aren't vessels and people to talk to. It's the fact that a lot of these people don't want to do this work.
Yeah.
This is work. So like, I know that there's like this fantasy view of being a musician and then there's the work. And I've been trying to do the work as much as I possibly can so that people can recognize it, want to listen to it and check me out.
Yeah.
And, you know, by doing it relatably too, like being cool and you approach me on the street, you see me there, yo, or you tell me you like my music, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Connects like either way too, and like you know, like it garners like new fan bases too, and you know, reaching like new audiences as well too. And like I know even with a budget for like an EP or for a project or for like a song, like it depends, like depending on the situation, on the demand for it too. So even when it came to extended stay and like even for VIP, like what was that budget like? Is it like the typical like artist like budget like when it comes to dealing with it?
Well, I'm fortunate because I work with a partner that does a lot of things for me. So what I do is I try to extend and create content. So I was using Rated Community and he's a cool guy. Shout out Nick. And he was shooting a lot of our stuff and he's going to continue to do it. And he just sees the vision. He believes in me and I believe in him. So I do invest in those things. I definitely understand that like it can be overwhelming if you are trying to pay for mixing, mastering, production, video, all of these things. So we're going at a snowball pace. I'm trying to roll it out very slow. So I've done content, I've done my own, and I look forward to doing more and doing videos. But I understand as an artist, sometimes you don't have that, but you still have a phone. You still have a tripod. You still have a guy like your homie who wants to shoot you. So take that opportunity because you never know. Just putting yourself out there. Me and my boy were having a conversation, honestly, yesterday about this dude in New York. He's like, decent man walking. I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where he's just walking in the street. He's like, I'm a decent man. And he's like, people are like stressed out for like financial reasons and mental health reasons. It's just funny as hell. Yeah. But I'm like, this guy looks common as and you know, the thing is, he just went outside and just said, yo, I don't care what happens. And look what happened. So it's like, you got to just throw as many darts at the board as you can. Sometimes it won't stick and sometimes you won't hit the bullseye. But what it does is it kind of carves your identity and you get sharper with that.
Yeah, and I feel like it depends on like the artist as well too. Like if we're talking about someone who might be from like a different background too, there's like a lot of demand like when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
like like the typical Toronto music video with the condo, the girl, the bottle, and then there's others that are like kind of more creative too, where they're
Right.
just like using an iPhone shooting around like downtown or other parts, and like like it works, and then you just need like CapCut or like
Yeah.
iMovie, that type of stuff too, and some like it also depends if you're using like BandLab or like if you're using like an actual like studio with an engineer. And there are like studios that are
Yeah.
affordable and others that
Of
might be
course.
like top tier. And then there are like programs like B Cave. Like I know they have the whole like program thing where they have camp and they get artists from these like other areas to come
Mm-hmm.
by, record their music, like do like a whole like posse cut, and
Yeah.
it just kind of works out from there. So it, like all depends on.
Well, I can mention even Ghost Boy, like Ghost RJ's been like man, a great guy to kind of connect community together. I met him through Lou. And I was like, yo, this guy's cool. He has like so many friends that are talented and everybody supports each other. So when you see that, it's just like you cannot help but be inspired. There's little pockets in the city right now that are making like really good music. And, eventually you're going to see them because they've been putting on shows and they've been doing little things here and there to let people know who they are. So I want to shout out first and foremost, like Ghost Boy, man. RJ been doing this thing, and definitely that's one of the guys I actually look forward to working with too. Like we have songs already, but like I actually want to go in the studio and make something from scratch with him. He's dope.
Yeah, and I mean, he caught like the eye of like a lot of people like Raz, and I think like the Sixth Letter,
Yeah.
where him and like Sixth Letter are like doing like a lot of songs now.
Shout
and,
out
like
to Six too.
yeah, and like we've linked back like in I think 2023 and all that too, like 2 years back, and
Mm-hmm.
like just seeing his like growth from what he was before to now, it's amazing to see. And now he has like a community that is behind his like back, like when
Right.
it comes to getting the work done, getting like other artists like involved too to get their names out there and making like lanes for them to even like perform, like even like artists like Pudge God and like I mean even
Saints, Tiago.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much
like
like they're
crazy.
like
Like those
doing
guys are
like the whole
great.
stuff like Unity and
New
like 40
Sun.
ounce series. Yeah, pretty
Yep.
much, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to actually work with those guys too. I actually have stuff with Pudge, New Sun. I've worked with Tiago Saint. He had me on 2 tracks on his project, which is hella dope. I just appreciate that these guys are using the community. And I feel like sometimes I know because of the street politics, that's the hardest thing for a lot of these guys in the streets who make street music. I think that they actually need the community because it actually helps you a lot. So like when you're like, kind of hesitant because of whatever you're doing outside of the music, I can understand that it's difficult, but like everyone needs community.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I definitely agree. Even within this idea that like of like community, because like it reinforces like the unity and creativity within art and all that. Too,
Yeah,
right?
you get to brainstorm, and sometimes you get some guys who will genuinely help you with your vision and get it done from beginning to end. And it's a beautiful thing when you see these guys working and later down the line, you're like, oh, you're on a project. You're on this, you're on that. And I'm like, oh, wow, you know what I mean? I'm honored to just be a part of that energy or be in those sessions at those times and lay down something. So it feels good to me.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And like to even speak more about like your artistry and like evolution, because
Hmm.
you're now Jovi, but like before you were like Donny Castro and all
Yeah.
that too. So like how has like your evolution as an artist changed, and what were like some similarities and like
Well,
differences?
songwriting, 100%. I couldn't write a song. I could rap. I used to do a lot of freestyle battles. I was on a couple DVDs and I was making money from that. But when it came down to actually making songs with substance, I kind of think to myself that it's all a learning process. So I got a chance to meet some great producers who took me under their wing and they kind of mentored me and taught me how to make songs and how to write hooks and also like samples and things like that. So even when I make music now, I'm pretty much immersed in it, whether I'm giving the sample a concept or I have a drum pattern in my head. Um, Castro was more like the kind of bragging, I'm young,
Yeah.
arrogant, brash, thinking I'm all dad. And, Jovi is kind of like the evolution. It's just like now I can do the singing, now I could do the rapping, now I can do the writing for other people if I need to. I can orchestrate things, I can produce for other people. So I had to kind of like bleed to get where I am right now, to get even as good as I am right now. I had to do a lot of work and it was a lot of work within myself. So man, bringing it back to what I was talking about earlier about like having to start, I believe before I was in my own way. I had this talent, but I was like, man, because it's Toronto, this, that, and the third, stop, pause. So after a while, I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to try. Okay. And let me just go through and just finish what I started. And that's what I've been on now. On a mission like that.
Yeah. Because I think like even back then too, there wasn't as much of an outlet to kind of plug into other scenes or to even like make it out of the city too. Because like Drake was starting to like make it around that time too, 2008, 2009. And I know Cardinal, like his buzz started to die down like after like Dangerous and all that too. So it led to like a lot of other factors too on where it could like lead next to like a lot of like other artists too, because like there were others that just kind of got back in the streets or they just kind of like slowed down and had their a little bit of like momentum here and there, but it's not like it's like lasting long or like stagnant.
What I believe, just simply because of the population and the fact that we don't have a lot of radio stations that we can say have been monumental in breaking records. A lot of the underground record radio stations that used to be around, they're no longer around. So I do feel that that's probably been one of the biggest reasons why we're not seeing talent go further, is because we don't hear ourselves. So we don't recognize ourselves. And it's not Toronto's fault. It's like trying to filter thousands of people into one system where we have CanCon, where you have to play only 30%. So if it's 70, if there's 100% pie and you're going to play 70% of American music and you're only going to play 30%, that's 3 songs for an hour if that was the case. So that can hurt us. I've always said that the CanCon, it needs to be changed. It needs to be somewhere to be like 40, 45. They can still have, because we understand this is a business. So a lot of these record companies are basically like paying for the promotion for it to be filtered to these radio stations. But I do feel that the CanCon, for people who don't know, CanCon is basically like the rules from the CRTC, that is the people who basically commandeer broadcasting, and they have a rule where only 30% of Canadian content is played on the radio, whereas there's 100% pie. So there's 70% of everything else, but only 30% is Canadian. And I will tell you, because of the population growth and everything that's been changing, that needs to be changed.
Yeah. I generally believe it should be like maybe like at least like 50-50 in a way too.
It's difficult to do that because of the fact that a lot of the American companies still kind of fund these little things, these radio stations. So I would say between 65 and 45 is decent. Yeah. If we can get even 40, that would be a big difference, because we would hear more of our people, more artists. Also, you know too, there's not a lot of venues showcasing a lot of artists, and a lot of these touring artists that come into Canada, they're not allowing us to open up. So I think that's another thing that like I want to change. I want to be so good that you have to let me open up. Or it has to be like California or New York, where it comes to a point where sometimes you got to use a little brute force and be like, yo, you're going to make sure we open up, or that artist is not coming here. And I think that's the thing that Toronto does not do, but New York, California, Florida, Atlanta, they all do it.
Yeah, the whole like checking in system too, because I know Chick did that for...
I don't know if it's check-in per se, but what I'm saying is that like as an artist, there will be like, okay, say Usher comes here and there's like a dude who's buzzing in Toronto. We put him on the stage just because we know he's buzzing. But I see that happen in New York. Like if Fat Joe or somebody opens up for somebody else, or Wu-Tang comes to New York, they'll have all these people in there, because Wu-Tang came recently to Canada, and it was a dope show. But when they went to New York, they had Mary J. Blige. They had all these people coming as in addition. So I think it's time that we also try to squeeze ourselves in these infrastructures to let them know that like we're not going to allow you to just walk over us and take money and leave, because I think that's a big problem that happens in the music industry right now.
And to even like speak more on the radio too, I know with Wu-Tang, I know they had Cairo Snow, who was like the 12-year-old rapper that did the whole like Wu-Tang set like back in July. I think that's like one artist from the city, but I know there should be more like in a sense too. But even with radio too, because I know Flow 93.5, well now 98.7. Now it's more of an Afrobeat, dancehall type of thing to R&B. So they're not like leaning onto like the rap anymore too. And like I think one of the oldest like hip hop college radio stations in the city kind of shut down too.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Philip Valino. I was actually on that show. So I created a post because I thought that was ridiculous that they're gonna close it, and I'm so sorry to hear that is, but at least he's trying to live through Twitch. You know, he's still trying to keep it going, still keeping the vibes going. So I think that eventually we'll get another alternative radio station for him.
Yeah. Like, I feel that there should be a chance for a soul like hip hop station like in Toronto
100,
that
man.
like strictly for the mainstream too, because if like we had like Flow and like they played, and even with Ricochet he had like Made in Toronto, which went
Yeah, I
like a lot
remember
too,
that.
like got like a lot of people. We could still do that for this year too, because like the demand for radio like right now too, it's not as like much because of streaming, of like all these like other platforms too, of YouTube, with Sirius XM and all that too, because like that's kind of like the major wave, like what people like are listening to now,
Right.
versus like the radio where, you know, people can actually make money like per song, and it has like words with like the Kiss 92.5s and like the Virgins, where they've had like more of the pop stuff, but that they're more like industry based artists that
We just need an hour. If you
Pretty
were
much.
able to just give us an hour, if we had a mixtape type of radio show, I understand too, though a lot of the times it's just based on I guess the content, because you know, unfortunately in Canada, as much as we have gangsters and we have all these things, like the government doesn't really want those people to be successful. It's kind of like a known thing. If it's like an unspoken rule that they don't want us to be successful. The minute that you preach a certain way of living, it becomes a very fine line where they don't understand it's just entertainment, and these people are using their voice to get out and do better and be more positive. But in Canada, you know, there's a lot of bigotry and there's a lot of opportunities that are closed to the people who really deserve it. So I understand that it can be really difficult, and I hope one day we can change that.
Yeah, no, that's facts, man. To even like dive deep more on that too, because like even with people from like other backgrounds too, because there are like, you know, female artists, or like artists who are women,
Yeah.
and also people who aren't from the streets,
Yeah.
that like try to make it like in the scene like just as much like the street artists too. So do you ever feel that there's like a stigma for these like type of people to be recognized and taken seriously?
I think it's a lot harder. I do feel that a lot of the times there's a lot of talent here, and a lot of the female talent that we see buzzing, making the music they're making, I don't necessarily think they want to make that. It's just because, you know, they see the Lottos and they see the Cardi B's, because I notice a lot of the Toronto artists, females, are doing that. And they do have lyrical talent, but I don't think that they see the bigger picture. I get it. In this time, people are more like chasing the hits, but the long run is actually the best run. If I can tell you something, it's the long run is the best run, hands down. Like if you can just be consistent, you'll eventually garner your audience. And yeah, for the other artists who are creative and outside of the realm of the streets or making street music, there is an audience for them. Just unfortunately, sometimes, like I was saying, they're not getting the opportunity to open up for all, even artists who are like them.
Yeah.
Like there's a Tyler, there's Earl Sweatshirt, there's Alchemist, and there's a bunch of people who come into the city every few months, and there's maybe a minority of people that get a chance to open up. I shout out to Lord Fury, because Lord Fury puts on shows constantly, and he's been able to kind of like make that connection between that. He understands that there's a lot of rappers who just really want to rap, so he's given an opportunity for them. And what I would tell most of the people, if they can, is just garner the money, put it together, and pool your resources to possibly put out shows, book these artists, kind of learn the business in a different aspect to get yourself further.
Yeah. And like I think there has to be like more of a steady communication, even like with like venues and like all these other people too. Because one of my guys actually booked a show, and he had like a New York artist like that performed at that show too, like alongside himself and like a lot of other people too. And like it was just like a lot of like complications like from the venue and all that too, just like with delays and timings and all that too, because I know he really wanted to put the show up, because like they had like an extensive tour from the States up until like Toronto and all that, and like they've like worked hard like getting it, and then I think some people don't really get the vision. They just only see like, hey, it's just a Toronto rapper booking a venue. We don't really see like the repercussions as much, because we might be like losing money more than like gaining money with like hip hop too. And like, you know, it's been a wide like body.
It's kind of weird because the biggest artist in the world is still Drake. So the kind of crazy thing is that it's like a super oxymoron to know like the world star, the biggest rapper in the world is still Drake. I know that you had mentioned even the Kendrick thing about like, you know, will we stop listening to Kendrick? And I was like, we're probably not going to do that. But at the same time, to not recognize that Drake is one of the biggest artists in Toronto, the world, it's like, we need to do better. We need to do better.
Yeah, because I remembered, even Toronto Metropolitan University, they have a course like related to Drake and like the Weeknd too. So it had like taken
Dalton's in that class. Dalton did that course.
Yeah, I think.
Shout out to Dalton.
Yeah.
What up, Dalton?
Yeah, and like I know like it has like spread like with like wide levels too, with like venues like history and like all this like other type of stuff too. And like I think even with Drake's like reputation and association, like that's why some artists don't even like want to perform at a venue like that if it's going to be owned by Drake, or if it's just something like even artists too that like they see like they might have had like issues with like Drake because of other stuff too, like they'll just skip out Toronto altogether, or like not even like come to Canada, which kind of makes it hard to even showcase artistry within like all these like other like areas too, because there's like places other than Toronto that like Canada like as a whole that really respect like that artist too, but because the association of Drake in Canada, like they put their like ego aside and just only do whatever they could do like around like their own area.
They make it very limited. I understand.
Yeah, pretty much.
At the same time, we do have things like North by Northeast. We live in Ontario. Ontario is huge. We could do a Coachella. They have the land. We have the land where you can do a Coachella type event. Ontario is huge. So the thing is just a matter of just getting the right people to kind of orchestrate those type of things. I understand too with the U.S. sometimes just a lot of the reason why artists from America don't want to come here is not even the venues. It's the police. It's the border. It's like a lot of the problems that come with being an artist. You have an entourage of people who help you, and whether they're working in lighting or sound setup or whatever, some of them have records, so they can't come over.
Yeah.
Or there's just problems that happened like mad years ago, 10 years ago, and you still can't cross over the border because Canada doesn't play that. So like that, some people just are like, fuck that, part of my language, but like, I'm not going to go through that if I can just go to Buffalo and you can just travel an hour away from me, or I go to Detroit, and you can just drive a few hours and see me through Windsor. So like, there's still an extension. They still try, but I can see like, a lot of the reason why a lot of artists, in terms of certain types of artists too, keep it in mind, like street artists. Because like a lot of the other artists that are coming up, they're not having any problem with crossing the border. But street type music, usually they get a little bit of a hassle.
Yeah, for sure. Like what I meant with like the other artists too, like, you know, like Megan and I know people from like TDE too. Like I know Kendrick performed in Toronto, but like other artists too, like Megan, like they're not even coming to Toronto.
It could just be a money thing. Yeah. Also, you know, a lot of the times with Rock Nation, that's Live Nation still. So like they do their demographics and see if it makes sense.
Yeah,
there has to be a demand, and as you know, like Tori's from Toronto, man. Yeah. So like, it's not gonna work. I'm not gonna disrespect or go any further than that. I'm just gonna say like, Tori's from Toronto, so I can see like a lot of people are still riding with Tori, and it's a difficult city to come in here and think that you can be here. And, you know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot of entanglement stories with that. I don't want to even lead to that. I try to avoid all that stuff, but for the most part, we're repping with Tori, man. We're repping with Tori.
No, that's facts, man. I even like spoke about like another situation just like more recently today. This Irish rap group named Kneecap, they're actually barred from entering the country because I think they've had like alleged like criminal like charges like related to terrorism and all that too. And like one of the MPs from like Toronto said like, hey, they can't come. They're barred from entering the country because they might have said anti-Semitic stuff or stuff like that too, even though like their message was like more so on Palestine, you know, like free like Palestine and all that too. They showed like a Palestinian like flag at one of their shows and all that, and that's what kind of led to them being barred from Canada.
We are in a crazy time because I don't know if you've seen what's going on with Kimmel, how Kimmel's basically removed, and that was millions of people watching that in the evening, and we're being censored so much now. It's just like, I thought things would be easier and we'd be able to say things and just move on. But now there's greater repercussions with saying things, even though there should be freedom of speech. And those artists, they should have an opportunity to do that. I think about even guys like NWA. Like, do you think NWA would really be able to like go far if they had done that now in these times? Because there's so much censorship. It's really difficult.
Yeah, pretty much. So, like even back in the day too, when they had like fuck the police and
Yeah.
all this other type of stuff too, like they could perform at shows, but like the police had to be there. They had to like
Warn
tell them
them.
like all these like rules and like it was like parodied in CB4 and like all this other like content too. And you know, like a lot of people had like issues because of that, because of like the riots that happened back in like 92 and 93 and all that, and like even like this like other stuff now with Yummy and like all this other type of stuff too with policing. And now in an era like I don't think like the new version of like Dre and Cube would have done like the whole like F the police like thing too, because now I think they are like kind of like compromised too in like the new positions because
facts.
of money, everything like that too. But I mean back then too, like hip hop was like meant for the voices, like meant for the communities, like meant
it
for
still is, man. I still think it is. I still think that there's so much more that we can talk about. There's so much more to be said. I think that that's the problem, is that we're not looking at this like it's art. When I think about guys like Miles Davis was blowing his horn, and he decided to change his whole vibe after the 60s. After the 50s and 60s, he was like, I don't want to be known for what I did in the past. I want to try something brand new. I want to try new textures and new sounds. And I think that as artists, that's what we all should do.
Yeah.
We should all get an opportunity to grow in ourselves, and also communicate our world, because that's the thing, right? I knew that when I decided to be an artist, I was going to be a representation of not only my area, but of Toronto. When you see me, I'm from Toronto. I speak Toronto dialect. I know the corners. I know the ends. So like, I always want to be a representative of that. So like, I think what we should do in Toronto is just take from the lessons of knowing like, there's still room for us. We're still growing. We're still in our infancy, believe it or not. Toronto's still like younger with the urban music than any other place.
Yeah.
We're still like delving it out.
Yeah, exactly. No, because I know like we're more connected with the UK and New York.
Yeah.
And, like, we have a lot of like young artists that are kind of like paving the way too. So it is like amazing to see, even with the connections with like new and old too, where some of the old school artists are like even like working with these like new school acts. And you know, like there's like no issues too. Like
I see a lot of love for the dancehall right now.
Yeah.
Like a lot of dancehall artists from Toronto are getting a lot of love, and I think that might be the next implosion of like artists to blow up, because reggae and dancehall is a worldwide sound.
Exactly.
So because of that, I think that's it. I think a lot of the times people can't get past our voices sometimes, unfortunately, from other places. Europe understands it because we are very close with how we speak, but America just hasn't got on to that wave yet. And sometimes it's just not a matter of just even like begging them to come onto the wave. It's just to continue to do what you're doing. Like Skepta and all these other guys that I listen to, like I didn't listen to them because they were popular from other people. I listened to them because I was like, yo, these guys are pretty dope. So it can happen.
Yeah. And to even like jump ship to like even like with hip hop like media nowadays too, do you feel like it's compromised today as it was like before and all that, or do you feel like there is like a lot of like neutral ground in terms of coverage and like everything else and all that?
Hip hop media is really weird right now, because I find that a lot of the times it's more controversial instead of being about peace. We're hearing less about positivity and more about negativity. It's kind of like been magnified. So every time, say, Drake does something, there's a bunch of people who have an opinion about him. Anytime Young Thug says something, it's all about these opinions.
Yeah.
But a lot of these opinions have nothing to do with the music.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, because I know that there were like a lot of platforms like Joe Budden, Jadakiss, and Fat Joe and all that, like Matt Hoffa, all these like other platforms. I watched a video like how they said like East Coast like hip hop media is like compromised because of their anti-views of the West Coast, and like even within their experiences as artists before, like journalists and all that too. Because with journalists, you're not gonna see like that side and all that too. It's gonna be, you know, like the artists that become journalists that say these like views too, with Drink Champs, with
I just think sometimes too, it sounds like for a lot of these people who are now transitioning into the media space, it just sounds like a cash grab. Like, we'll see who's here in 3 years. We'll see who's here in 5. Like when I look at Joe Budden did that when he had nothing. So the difference between Joe Budden and even academics is like these guys were like broke. And they still continue to do it and tell stories. So even guys like academics, sometimes I don't like the hijinks that he gets into.
Yeah.
I wish he would more showcase the music, because they don't.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these guys just use that as a spotlight to show their personality. I'm going to talk about this topic, but it's really about me.
Yeah.
I want you to see that I'm funny. I want you to see that I have humor, that I'm smart. It's not about like, focus on the artist. You know what I mean?
Because I feel like the landscape, even with the media too, because I think when 2021, 2022 hit, like there's like other people that have been like focused now on like other subjects that are kind of commodified. So like the popularization of Charleston White, Red Pill media, Red Pill content, and like even characters that don't even like represent like music as a whole too, like Woody and like all these like other people too. They're not like general artists too. Like back then, like they've had like at least like a lot of artists too back then. Like they talked about the music. Now it's like I can make 1 million views off like Charleston White or off like friggin' Andrew Tate or all these like other people too, and like the music doesn't really matter too. Like I'm not gonna,
it doesn't,
because I can make bank off Charleston White and like they'll just.
I think that's the problem though. The fact is that you're treating music like it's extremely disposable. When I think of the past, or I think of times like Vietnam, and Marvin Gaye did What's Going On. He did records about what's going on in the world, and it wasn't popular. Berry Gordy was like against it, and he decided to put it out, and it became one of his most lauded releases. Like everybody has listened to that. So I realized, like, in this day and time, this is the time that we actually need music. We need music. We need music not just about the clubs, but about what's actually happening in the world.
Yeah. And I mean, like Rory and Mal, who are kind of like a lot of like my favorites, like right now, it's kind of like cover more of that too. Like I kind of like enjoyed like their input. Some people, personalities like Sean C, kind of do their thing and all that too. And like even when I read through like threads and all that, like I feel like people have like good takes about like music and like nowadays.
For sure.
I'll read it and then just kind of focus on that. Like I'll only focus like maybe on academics and No Jumper if there's some bullshit going on too. Like if you need like some like breaks and all that. But
No Jumper used to be a great podcast.
Yeah.
I think what happened is that No Jumper started to get those numbers, and Adam thought, how can I reinvent myself? Yeah. And then him being in LA, there are a lot of factions that he cannot control that control him. And he doesn't want to mention it. Pretty sure, you know what I mean? That he's connected. I don't know if it's a check-in situation with him, but the way that I see everybody kind of like come to the situation on the show, and it stopped being really about the music. When Adam was there by himself and he was doing all these interviews, it was really good. Like Adam was a really good journalist, and I don't know if it's just money or just burnout. Because you know the problem is like a lot of artists, they go through burnout. Even creative content people, like having to constantly come with something brand new, fresh, exciting. Like I like Rob Markman sometimes because of the fact that he also tries to keep it as much music as he possibly can. Like, you know what I mean? There are a few people who do it really well, and I think that in Toronto, I think we should start doing that too. But more face. Because there's like Rockboy Ninja and there's a bunch of other guys online, but they don't show their face like because they're I don't know if it's fear. I don't know if it's fear-based. Because sometimes I wonder if it really is like I'm afraid because, you know, these guys who sometimes they report are not, you know, it's crazy to me because it's like it's not about music to them. Like, let it be about music. We need to actually have guys from Toronto do reviews about Toronto albums, about Toronto
pretty
music.
Much,
yeah, we don't have that.
I mean, we've had like, We Love Hip Hop and like GTV Network. I'd say IC is like a new form of media now, but like that's like a different form of media too. But I know there were like other like platforms like back in the days too, like Push the Wall. I know Cash Feelings used to run like a podcast like, way back in the day too.
Right.
I guess like with them, like the momentum dies down, like if they know if it's gonna be like profitable and all that too, because I think around that time like they'll make content too, but it's like not something that will reach like mass. Like,
but that's the problem, Mike. Like I was trying to explain to you is that when you see Joe Budden and you look at Joe Budden TV from the beginning, because you can go and trace it back, it wasn't necessarily about having the most production or trying to get the most attention. It was about trying to be a voice in a culture, in a space that doesn't always let everyone in. But at the same time, it's still all-inclusive.
Yeah.
So what I realized in Toronto was that you can't go from the mission of just thinking that it's about money. Friday Ricky Dredd probably is probably one of the main people who's probably thought from that perspective, because I'm pretty sure that he probably spent more money than he made from what he's been doing. Now maybe he's able to turn over a profit because he's been doing it the longest.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I'm pretty sure in the beginning, and even like my homeboys at Balaclava Diaries, like they tell me all the time, like putting together a podcast, being consistent and putting out content every week is exhausting. It's like really hard.
Because it's a production in a way too. Like some people have editors. Like for me, like I edit my own shit too. So it's like I just kind of do my own thing. And like with Chris, like he does like the audio and video, so like it works out like you know too. There are like sometimes too, like even like way back then, like I was like shooting like a lot of like Vlad TV style like interviews, and like it was just me recording and like me also editing as well too, and like seeing what works too, because like it also depends on like how do you want to see yourself too, like how do you like put the budget to it, like even like when we were talking about budgeting earlier too, like with budgeting like videos and like content too, do you see it work in a space like this, or do you see it work in another space? Or
I actually do see something like this eventually. Yo, even with myself, because I am a voice, I'm looking forward to doing a few things in kind of spaces like this, where I have me as an artist do like a mini podcast or whatever, and you're seeing other artists that I work with or collaborative people. I want to be able to kind of like voice it in that way too. So spaces like this are important. And, you know, I realized like in the beginning of what I was doing, I didn't know how this was going to work out. Like, I just didn't. I just was just in my head like, yo, just let me throw shots at people. And what I did is I started to ask my community, yo, who should I go to? So Inferno was the person who told me about you, Josh. Like, he was like, yo, you should talk with Josh. He's solid. You know what I mean? And right away when he gave me the cosign, because your friends will either tell you like it's trash or it's good, and I heard real good stuff about you. And I'm like, yo, I watched this stuff and I'm like, yo, this is going to be a great interview. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it too either way. And like, you know, it worked out from the first one and like even to like now too. And like even like seeing it from like within too, because I know with content and like even with everything else too, like it does like change like over time, and like sometimes too like it could work out like in a new setting.
I've
sometimes
gotten better.
yeah, pretty much, you know. And to even like end it off like just like even with the whole like media stuff too.
Right.
Do you feel like content creators and personalities like academics, Trap Lord Ross, like even like No Jumper, do they still have a voice today in hip hop? Or
I would definitely say they do. That chat academics 100%. Trap Lord Ross, he's a great storyteller in terms of like the research that he does. If you've ever watched one of his docs, like he really puts in research. Like this is like a lot of work. So like why you see like those guys continuously be at the forefront is because they put the work in. Sometimes it looks like academics doesn't leave that chair, like that gaming chair he's in. It looks like sometimes he's probably just sleeping there day on day, just change his shirt, change his hat, next topic. And that's the hardest thing, is that these guys are trying to stay on top of something. So Cardi B just dropped an album, for instance, right? Everybody was like, man, I'm not really sure if Cardi's going to really come back. So that's the whole thing. Now, instead of just giving the album a listen, we have all these people who kind of like add their 2 cents. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's not. I come from an era where we didn't have that. We had The Source, we had Double XL. If you didn't read those and you just listened to the music, you liked it. If you didn't know about it, you would check it out, and that would be it. Now it's kind of like these people who are purveyors of taste, sometimes they stop people from checking shit out because they're like, oh, it's trash, you shouldn't listen to it. But like, this is a per person type of situation. Music is felt differently from every individual. So like, I think that's the only thing that sometimes it can hurt people too. Like when they do what they're doing, it can help some, but it can hurt some. Like Cardi sometimes is like having crash outs because it's just like they're constantly picking on her about like her success. And that's the hardest thing. Like you have to understand, like she worked with a company that wanted her to win, and then the people wanted her to win. So like you can't get mad at a person who people are choosing. This is the people's champ. This is the person that the people chose.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And like her age, like she's like, you know, born in like 92 and all that too. So she's like in her early mid 30s and all that too. So even now we have like an influx of like older artists like making like music today and all that too. So even in that sense too, do you feel like bars still matter today since like the recent releases of like the clips, like GID, Alfredo, like etc. and all that too?
Bars still matter, man. Bars are always gonna matter. You can see that the clips rollout shook up a lot of people, And then Ghostface Killer dropped something. Wu-Tang did their last tour, and I don't really think that's their last tour, but just the tour like that.
Yeah.
We're seeing that like guys like Freddie Gibbs, West Side Gun, like Conway's about to drop a new project. There's a lot of these guys. And then the influx of guys in Toronto, A-Sun, Eastwood, Danielson, Lord Fury. Lord Fury just dropped a project today.
Yeah.
He dropped a project with my boy DJ Jug. So shout out Jug and Lord Fury. If you get a chance, check that out. It's called Travel Fox. I can't remember the whole thing, but yo, it's dope. Go out and support it. Like, yeah, lyrics will never go anywhere, man. They're gonna always be here. Shout out to Snacks. I don't know if you've ever done anything with Snacks. Another great Toronto rapper out here doing things. There's a bunch of Toronto rappers who are holding the bars down. And what I like to do is, I know, everybody wants to pinpoint for these American artists, but I'm making sure to mention these guys because that's what's supposed to happen. Like, we already heard about, Alchemist and Freddie and all those other guys, but secretly in Toronto, there's like a lyrical thing happening. Like, Ghost Boy, a lot of the guys are rapping.
Yeah.
Six Letter, me, a bunch of guys are really rapping. My boy Ed Weir just dropped a project with Blind Vibrations.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like we're all trying to really just put the lyrics at the forefront. It will always be there, no matter what.
Sure, man. And like, I mean, even like the last like lyrical project I've heard, like even from a Toronto artist, like Raz Fresco, and I think DJ Muggs like dropped a project like I think a year ago, and like it shook like the room like in a way, and like I remember like Raz like talking about how there wasn't like any coverage for his like his album like in Toronto, like with like the blogs and all that, but like Rolling Stone would do like some coverage or like smaller blogs like outside of it too, and like I realized like, hey, I checked out this project and it's actually very dope too, and like you want to bring that conversation to it like when it comes to even with Toronto music, because like an artist like that working with a prominent producer who's worked with like the likes of Cypress, of Giselle, all
for
these
sure,
other people.
Man. Raz is putting in a lot of work, and I can say from my own experience, just making music like this, it could be a lonely path, but you kind of understand that there are 8 billion people in this world. So the minute that you start to feel really lonely about this, just think to yourself about how you're putting together your craft. If it's something really good, it's going to resonate no matter what. So even with me deciding to put my music on Bandcamp, it was like a difficult decision. Me and Blind had got into like words, like not fight, but we're just like, I want to put it on Spotify. And he kind of explained to me what's happening with Spotify right now. So there's an influx of change happening. Massive Attack, which is like a UK like hip hop type group, they recently removed their music off Spotify. A lot of people are starting to notice like Spotify is like King Kong. It's like taking over everything, and it's not. But then it's the equity. There's no equity, so like I can do better through Bandcamp. I don't have to have even 10,000 plays, and I can make $1,000 if I work hard. Like, you know what I mean?
Because I think Neil Young and like Joni Mitchell, like I remembered like when Joe Rogan spoke about like the COVID-19 vaccine and all that.
Yeah.
And like it caused a controversy. Like Neil Young and I think Joni Mitchell were like the first ones to pull their music off Spotify because they know how controversial it is having someone like that be represented where a platform where it's like strictly for artists to kind of do their work in a way too and to be creative, like in that sense, So.
Yeah, because Daniel Ek, the guy who owns or the CEO of Spotify, Malcolm had told me what he's doing now is he's buying weapons of mass destruction. So he's investing in things that are coming from the money. So it's just like kind of like we're not making any money. So we're kind of wondering like, well, what's happening? Yeah. The hard copy is missed. Man, I wish I could bring back that era where we had like MP3s or like a DAT Piff or something where you can just have your own autonomy and people would trust it. Because that's the problem a lot of the times is that they trust Spotify. They trust Apple. So now you have to try to build that trust again because before they were buying CDs and records. Records are still kind of like doing pretty good.
Exactly.
But like other devices, they've kind of like purposely phased them out.
Exactly. No, I definitely agree too. And like it's all a part of the whole idea of gentrification and within this like new change within like digital media and like even with physical media too, you don't really see like a lot of mom and pop like CD stores anymore too. Or, like even like I know Sunrise Records or BMV, they kind of shut down like their location.
Sonic Boom still kind of doing his thing. Sonic Boom downtown, but there's a few record places, but like you said, like it's kind of becoming extinct, and unfortunately, it hurts us because there's a lot of people who just prefer this to not be connected to any type of technology.
Pretty
Like you
much.
have to have once you have iTunes or Spotify, you have to have a technological fingerprint.
Yeah.
You got to have an email. You have to have this. You have to have that.
All that type of stuff too.
So it's just kind of like, okay, I'm not really with that, but I like the music.
Yeah.
So that's why everybody's like jumping on the vinyl thing, because it's like I don't have to do that and I can still buy vinyl. Westside Gun still sell tapes. He was selling tapes the other day for like $10, and like guys were like scooping them up because they know once you go back online, they're like $100.
Pretty
Like,
much.
yeah.
I mean, Matt Comey kind of does this thing too, where
For
he sells his
sure, the
projects
special vinyl.
pretty much. Like even like at least the idea of like gentrification too. So do you feel like gentrification and the change of like cost of living like ruined just like Toronto and the GTA?
I
Like,
think gentrification is going to make the best music that we've ever heard in our lives, because unfortunately what happens is that music, especially urban music, it comes from pain. And when there's a lot of pain and there's a lot of one-sided things that are taking place, there's going to be a lot of voices who are going to speak up on that. And that's what I'm looking forward to. Whether you be a street artist or you be an artist who says you have lyrical content, I want to hear more about like the condos. Like talk about the fact that like we live in a world where we can barely afford to eat. And that's what I liked about Pac. You know what I mean? That's what I liked about like Biggie. You know, he was like, I'm fucked up. Like, Pac, I'm fucked up. Let me tell you about what's going on in my world. And it's not about me just shooting and selling drugs, because they did that too, but they also talked about the world. So I feel like that's what I'm looking forward to do. And if they don't do it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah,
I'm letting you know that.
True.
I'm letting you know that right now. I'm going to do it.
Man. And like, I mean, the OGs like do play like a part too in like making that change as well too. So
for sure.
Do you feel like the OGs, or like do you feel like Toronto has like OGs to help the youth, the young people, to like guide them?
It kind of depends, man. Honestly, sometimes a lot of these OGs, oh man, it's hard to say that they're even OGs when sometimes they're not even like giving knowledge of self to themselves. So like a lot of these young men have become their own form of OGs, and I've seen it firsthand. I've seen a lot of these guys just kind of like build themselves from nothing because there were no mentors. But mentors are extremely important. I have mentors, and I have an opportunity to talk with them about life and about music and everything else. There just has to be a willingness on both ends, because sometimes as a young man, when you're living your life, you're going through something in the present, you're not going to really want to hear something from somebody else who kind of went through that. Sometimes, not all the times.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good guys who I know are like, listen, but some of them are like, nah, like, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm living my life.
Yeah, because there are others that do want to help the way, and then there's others that are kind of like enablers in a way too. Or haters, you know, like they felt like they could have done this like now than like several years ago too, because like they weren't the man back then. Now
you better believe
they
want
to compete with the younger guys and all that too, and like it's like an influx where you see this like weird influx of like fights and dramas and all that.
Yeah, man. Honestly, in this city right now, I would say why a lot of this violence is happening too is because a lot of these young men can't find jobs. Like they can't. Like it's become a point where employment has been nil. I'm seeing young teenagers. I remember working in summer camps. I remember working summers and saving my money to buy my clothes to go back to school. I remember having a part-time job when I was in high school. And yeah, a lot of these kids can't go to Burger King or Tim Hortons or McDonald's or even the shopping mall because now those jobs have been filled. So a lot of the angst that we're starting to see in the city is because they don't have means to do anything else. So like the carjackings, like the shootings, like these things are happening because people are doing illicit means to make money. It's not that they want to, it's a survival thing. If you come from nothing and you learn how to get around with nothing, you know, you're going to make do. So a lot of these guys, it's not the fact that they don't want to legitimize or do things of a fair nature. It's just that it's really difficult right now. And I think when you bring in gentrification, that also applies to that too.
Sure. What do you feel can like mitigate that issue of like gun violence in a way too? Because I know we've already explained it before with the government and like with all the other stuff
Money,
too.
man, money. Because what happens is like right now, even with the tariffs or like when we're spending, it's like our money is not stretching as far as it used to. We do need some sort of outreach from just reach these communities and talk to these gentlemen. I personally want to do something like that. I would like to organize a men's group, and I'm in the process of working on doing that. And I want to do the men's group between the ages of like as early as like 16, 17 to as late as 50 years old.
Yeah, man.
Because I want to be able to kind of create something where we all can be in a place and we can talk. And I think a lot of these men and women, they're dealing with a lot of post-traumatic stress as well, man. A lot of trauma, lack of opportunity, drug use, combined with everything else. It kind of affects your judgment. You know, it impairs your judgment if you're smoking, you're drinking, and you're doing that as a coping mechanism as well. So, you know what I mean? We definitely need more of that. Like more outreach, affordable therapy. Straight up affordable therapy. Therapy's fucking expensive, bro. Like going to like see a therapist, if you have like needs for that, like it can cost anywhere between $150 an hour. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Even like minor things too, like, you know, dentistry and like all the other stuff
for
too.
sure.
Like
That
it kind
too.
of helps out too. Like
Doctors.
I know we have the Canada Dental Care Plan, so like you could actually like apply for it like online too, where you can get like, you know, like at least like a good amount of like dental care covered, insured. I think by like Sun Life, I think too, and like
that's crazy
and
though,
like,
man. Because think about dentistry, man. You need teeth in your mouth, man. You can get a blood vessel that shoots straight to your brain because you have bad teeth. Like for that not to be like a prerequisite, I've always thought that as a kid. I'm like, yo, my mom and them would be like, yo, you better brush your teeth because like this shit's expensive,
like,
man.
I know like with like teeth care and like oral hygiene, like it does like kind of change the way in how the human attitude kind of like phases in like with human behavior psychology and like how, you know, sometimes we do different things out of sporadic energy. Sometimes it could be like a root canal issue, or like a wisdom teeth issue and all that too. And like that could have been fixed
thousands
through
of dollars,
some dentistry, or even if it's like a minor like health issue too, where a simple like doctor's like checkup could work out too. And like that's like free either way too for OHIP as well too.
Yeah.
And I feel like with some people, they don't like really like notice that in, because it's like there's a lot of factors that do come in, like even like showing your ID too, because like anything can happen.
Honestly, I could tell you the healthcare system is flawed, because even sometimes when I'm trying to get an appointment, it's like 6 months later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm waiting for 6 months. And then sometimes with whatever I have to do, it may kind of conflict with my schedule. So I'm like, oh man, I got to make sure that I make a marker right now, because I'm going to go see whoever in 6 months instead of being able to see them immediately or at least within a few weeks. So that's another problem that's happening too, is just like there's a lot of hurry up and wait. Like you book the appointment and you got to wait.
Yeah, that's facts too. I know we do have like a couple like other topics as well too.
Go ahead.
I want to like thumb it through for a bit too. So with Good Kid, Mad City versus To Pimp a Butterfly too.
Yeah.
What do you feel like was like more like of the impactful like project?
To me, both of those projects are really good. Good Kid, Mad City comes from like the teenage person growing up in the neighborhood, being amongst people, peers. So I like the storytelling in that. I did feel like To Pimp a Butterfly was honestly like a delve into a life of somebody who has anxiety. Like every time I listen to that album, I always think about the fact that like, are you sure you want to be famous? Because that's the first thing I think about when I hear that album. It's just like all of the things that came after Good Kid, Mad City. So like Good Kid, Mad City is Kendrick and Compton, you know what I mean? Chilling with the crew. Then To Pimp a Butterfly is him becoming some big world star, adapting to that, but still having the same feelings and the same trauma that he had in Good Kid, Mad City. So it isn't like he's changed immediately, but now he's dealing with a whole brand new set of issues. So it's kind of cool.
I know what you mean, man. As far as like for me, like I prefer like Good Kid, Mad City too.
Me too.
And we'll probably like discuss it like at another time too. As far like, you know, like I usually like I wanted to start like off like this like new thing too. So recite a verse that's like your favorite and that you know like more like word for word and all that, you know?
Oh, man, I was just thinking about when you sent me that question. I was like, the first verse that everybody knows is like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but it's like even right now, I'm just trying to think about it, and I'm like, I don't know if I remember all the lyrics in it, but it's like when it plays, I can do that whole song. Right. So like, I would say like, because I came up when hip hop was in its infancy, right? So like a little bit of like a mix of everything. So me seeing like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and that to me is probably the most known hip hop song in the world. There's no other song that's more known than that intro. And no one can tell me differently. I'll bet racks. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of knows that Will Smith intro from Fresh Prince because it became synonymous with the show. It wasn't like he got fast forwarded. You know, like there are shows where like they won't play the theme. They'll just be like, all right, straight to the show. That show, every time it played was that theme. And the thing is, because it went into syndication, even kids who don't know about the Fresh Prince in his time now know that song. Okay. So that was a person that I was thinking about immediately, like a song that I remember like going over and over again. Like once it came on, I'll be like, why do I know this song? But then I remember I went to a party and they played that out loud and everybody recited it.
Yeah, true. As far as like closing remarks, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share and all that?
Oh man, Josh, I just want to thank you. I want to let everyone know that I got some more music on the way. Very soon, actually, man. Probably after this podcast, you'll be able to check it out. I have a new song called Sundays that will be dropped on the 21st of September. That's going to be my birthday. And why I'm giving the music away is because I think it's a gift to give away the music. I'm so happy for everybody who's had an opportunity to listen to it, to support me. And I want to do that. I told myself that was one of the first active things I was going to do is no matter how much music I put out, I'm always going to have something for my people. Yeah, so I'm building that.
All right, that's facts, man.
Appreciate
Jovi,
you, man.
Dope having you on again.
Appreciate you, man.
Even like conversate,
Thank you, man.
Even do like this like dope freestyle and all that too, and like to even like check in with you, like to speak more on a lot of topics. It's amazing too,
man. Like, always, man. I'll be back 100%.
Yeah, for sure, man. This is Josh, also known as Yashu, another episode of the TLOY Talks podcast. This on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Buzzsprout, much more. Definitely check out Jovi stuff on Bandcamp and all that too.
Check it out.
Check out
airheadrecordings.bandcamp.com.
Exactly, man. Definitely like stay tuned for like the new song coming up on Sunday, and definitely stay tuned for all the other episodes dropping in too. So this is Josh, also known as Yashu, with Jovi signing off.
Peace.